has posted a cryptic Instagram post.
Okay, let me see it.
He posted an image that said, "Sometimes you just have to play the role of a fool to fool the fool who thinks they are fooling you," with the caption, "Chess, not checkers." And there's a little jester guy in the corner.
Sometimes you have to play the role of a fool. So he's playing the role of a fool.
To fool the fool who thinks he's fooling you.
Oh. So what he's saying is...
You got to play dumb to convince the dumb person that you're dumb, but you're really not. So you're smarter than the dumb person, and you're actually really manipulating them.
Is he talking about Neil O'Shea, the GM? Is he talking about the owner?
I don't know what's going on here. I also think it's funny that, like, now any NBA player who is involved in any kind of, like, possible movement, if they just, maybe it's just on his heart to post this quote because it's like something that's going on in his personal life or something, and now we're, like, applying it to this possible trade scenario. It's like if you're an NBA player, you can't post anything like that.
Like you and I had a dinner the other night with a young broadcaster, and I said, once you get into this world of opinion, you're in the headline business.
Right.
Brent Musburger once told me that. You will now live in a world of headlines. Think of your show as a sports section, and you just stay on page one. You talk LeBron 4 times. You don't go to, guys that nobody cares about. And so I always look, to me, I want to talk Dame, but I can't talk him as much in Portland. Except for Portland fans. Take them out of it. Isn't everybody rooting for him to land with a Luka or an Embiid? Like, isn't that better for 90% of sports fans? It's nothing against Portland. It's just we've seen it. Like, when LeBron left for Miami, I'd seen LeBron carry a crappy team. Right. I wanted to see him with great players. It was nothing anti-Cleveland. In fact, when he went back to Cleveland, I was like, this is awesome, because they had Kyrie and they got Kevin Love. But in the end now, I'm just ready to see Dame play with another A-plus guy. I just want to see that.
I think that, the landscape has changed, obviously. When LeBron left, it was, very dramatic, and he's abandoning his hometown, and he's going to South Beach, and he's squishing the little guy. Now we're a little bit past that, and there's still some resentment there around with fans. Obviously, everyone loved that Giannis did it in Milwaukee, even though Golden State just did the same thing a couple years before, but it's San Francisco, so it's not the same thing. Building through the organization. I think with Dame is such a superstar. Like, he is such a crossover star. He's got music. He's got the shoes. So he is a bona fide star in a market like Portland, where we root for them, but we can all also see there's kind of a ceiling here. Yes. And with an all-time great player like Dame, you want to see him in a situation where he has at least the potential to win a championship, so that when he does with someone else, it feels like, okay, that's deserved. He's not a super team guy because of how much he's talked about it, but you need other players around you to win a championship. Yeah.
And I also think you don't want to be Bradley Beal, who I look at now, and this is weird, but I almost think less of him. It's like, dude, do you want to be a winner? Why are you not leaving? I don't understand.
Loyalty is a little bit overstated in professional sports because it's professional.
Right.
You didn't stay at the same company your entire life. Most people don't. It's an old school ideal, and we try to apply it to sports, and it just doesn't really add up sometimes.
Good stuff. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Lane Kiffin, did you hear this story?
Yes.
She did first things first. That's Joy Taylor again. Let me start with this. So this did not come from an intern. This came from Jerry Jones, or probably his long-time PR guru, Rich Dalrymple. The Cowboys, yes, the Dallas Cowboys, on their Twitter account. It's not a setback. It's not a reason to worry, but Dak Prescott is planning on getting another MRI. That didn't come from an intern. That was carefully carved out. Okay. Translation. Leg injury, long rehab, overcompensates, throwing shoulder sore, gets an MRI. Comes off the field, right? Couple days, few days. Goes back, couple days of throwing. And why would you get a second MRI? Something's not quite right. It's not doom. It's not gloom. But Joe Burrow had an equally ugly leg injury. He hasn't had any MRIs. So 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. One has had an MRI. Dak. One has had 2 MRIs. Dak. Fresh off a $40 million contract. Now, Stephen Jones today is saying it's overrated. It's no big deal, but you watch Hard Knocks, first episode, Jerry Jones talking to trainers with the Rangers and the Yankees. Nothing is everything. Everything is something. And I think this is and has become an incredibly Dak-reliant team. That's why this is important. I said this yesterday. What do the Seattle Seahawks do well? Russell Wilson scores touchdowns. What else do they do well right now? Not a lot. Let me ask you, with the Dallas Cowboys, increasingly, they're putting Dak front and center because he's the emotional leader. He's the physical leader. He's the production leader. This is not like Kyle Shanahan's offense. This is not the early Brady with the Patriots, Dilfer Flacco with the Ravens, where the defense felt like it led the way. This has become a very quarterback-reliant franchise. I even think the Kansas City Chiefs could win half their games without Mahomes because of the coaching, the O-line rebuild, the skill people. They wouldn't win the Super Bowl. I think Dallas is totally Dak dependent now. Last year, defense 23rd, rushing 17th, pass rush 20th, coaching, all be kind, C-, felt like a D+. What do they do well? Dak's productive. That's it. He goes to the microphone, A+. Productivity, very good. And I'm not picking on Dallas. I said this about my hometown Seahawks. What do they do well? Their drafting's weird. 2 first-rounders and a third and a player for Jamal Adams, who I love, but that's a lot. Now they're kind of trapped. Now guys aren't practicing. They're holding out. This is now a very Dak-reliant franchise. And, oh, by the way, the Eagles are a tire fire, but Washington and New York are solid and getting better. Giants played very well, won 5 of their last 8 last year. Washington, end of the year, played very well. Gave the Buccaneers everything they could handle with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. So this division is not as bad as it was at the beginning of last year. It's a pretty interesting division. But with Dallas now, this has become a very Dak-reliant franchise. He's the guy you put at the podium. He's the emotional leader. I mean, you saw last year, there were questions about Dallas's defense. When Dak left, it was like, man, they're not playing hard. They're not prepared. And there was no Dak around. It was Andy Dalton. Who do you rely on when things go sideways? This is still not a very good defense with an anemic pass rush, hit and miss running the football. Coaching is ad. Albert Breer talked about this yesterday. You watch Hard Knocks. It's pretty clear now who runs the franchise. It's not Mike McCarthy. So Dak Prescott, a second MRI. All right, so I want to shift gears to tonight. We have some football games tonight. And Cam Newton and Mac Jones reportedly, both Cam and Mac Jones reportedly will play for the New England Patriots tonight at Foxborough. And here's what I think is interesting. So Tom Brady played in New England for about 20 years, right? Was it 20, 21, 19, something like that, 20 years. And for 15, he was the emotional, physical leader of the franchise. But they always struggled to give him credit as he took pay cuts, right? There was a moment a couple years ago where Belichick gave him the team ball, and it literally, visually, optically looked uncomfortable. They always struggled. It was always about the system, the genius of previously fired Bill Belichick, who I still think's the best coach in NFL history. So Brady leaves, and immediately, almost bizarrely, the compliment started flowing for Cam Newton. What a leader. He's picked up this offense. He is sensational.